Well, one of the spiritual principles we teach here at the In Spirit Center is prosperity. That is that God is the source of all things in our lives, our income, our health, our relationships, our dreams, and our talents that we use to make the world a better place. Now, most young boys admire their dad's income-earning ability without ever thinking about how God is behind it. So there's a story about 3 boys that were in a schoolyard bragging about their fathers. So the first boy says, "My dad scribbles a few words on a piece of paper, then he calls it a poem, and they give him $50. The second boy says, "Well, that's nothing. My dad scribbles a few words on a piece of paper, then he calls it a song, and they give him $100. The third boy says, "I've got both of you beat. My dad scribbles a few words on a piece of paper, calls it a sermon, and it takes 8 people to collect all the money." That third boy had faith in his father, the minister, to prosper his center. I think all ministers would like it to be that easy. And why shouldn't it be easy for a Center for Spiritual Living to prosper? After all, we are here to make a difference in people's lives in big and small ways every week, every day. In his book, Not Your Parents' Offering Plate, Cliff Christopher writes that church members no longer give just because they should, the way their parents did. Instead, they give because they find value in the center for themselves and for their families, and they see their center make a difference in the world. People want a great worship experience on Sundays with inspiring sermons and great music. People want to hear about how lives are changed. People want divine guidance, strength, and caring to deal with the challenges in their marriages, raising children, and during the times of grief or maybe career transitions. And finally, people want an opportunity to make a difference in the world themselves. Our center provides a mission that provides meaning and purpose for them to do that. As our board visioned and created our proposed programs and budget for 2017, they have kept in mind all of these fundamental reasons we are a thriving spiritual community. A new program we are extremely excited about is the Community First program. It perfectly fulfills our theme for the year. We are here for each other. Right now, our community is recruiting and training leaders for small groups of 8 to 10, which will start meeting in June in people's homes. The small groups will provide an opportunity for caring, belonging, commitment, and intimacy. This level of intimacy and caring cannot really occur in the large Sunday celebrations, and it will in the small groups. I want to tell you a story about how the difference that small groups have made in the life of one of our members. For almost a decade, our center has had a 6-week Adventures in Spirit program where small groups met weekly in people's homes to get to know each other, for spiritual practice, to talk about that week's theme, to laugh together, to pray together, and to care for each other. Now, Mary joined one of the small groups near her home. In the past, she had come to church irregularly and always sitting quietly and then scurrying out at the end of the service so she wouldn't have to talk to any strangers. Once she joined the small group, she felt comfortable beginning to share her story with the others in the group. They listened and cared. She listened and cared for them. Soon she was one of the most engaged participants. She felt empowered and applied the spiritual principles she was learning. Her relationships with her family improved as her relationships with this group deepened. She felt happy, loved, and cared for. She made attending the weekly support groups with her friends a priority in her life. Many of you have participated in these groups and asked that they continue after the 6 weeks were over. Now they will meet monthly throughout the year. And supporting the small groups is an important part of our budget for the next year. Other key items in the proposed budget include continuing to have fabulous Sunday experience with our ministers and the inspiring music and choir. The practitioners are always ready to pray with you. Rent and utilities, of course. And then classes for adults, teens, and youth, and the LGBTQ community. There's also much more that we will have included, but we are here for each other all the time. So today is the kickoff of our 2017 Pledge Program. I want you to consider your role and how you are to commit your time, your talents, and your financial commitment to our center. What size pledge would you give to be an active and supporting, contributing member of our spiritual community? How would you help our center make a difference in the lives of you and others? In his book, The Basic Ideas of the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, he says, whether your funds be great or small, you need to get all possible pleasure and satisfaction out of them. Never, never hand over your money in payment for anything grudgingly. If your best judgment advises a payment or a donation, make a transaction of mutual goodwill, be it great or small. The habit of silently blessing your money as that you hand it over is worth cultivating. Then it carries with it an intangible value that will bring back good. So you have a pledge card in your program, so please take it out, fill it out, and hand it in at the table out in the social hall. The ministers and board members are all here to answer your questions, and most importantly, know that with your generous pledge for our spiritual community, you are making a difference for you, for your in-spirit community members, and for the world. We are here for each other.